Today, we're jumping into a question that I know keeps a lot of parents up at night. In a world that's being totally reshaped by AI and automation, which path is the right one for your kid? Is it CBSE or is it IB? Which one is actually going to get them ready for the jobs of 2040? Let's dive right in.
First things first, I want you to ask yourself a really important question. When you picture your child's future, who are they really competing against? Is it just the kid sitting next to them in class? Or the top student in their school? Well, the answer, it's not what you think.
The reality is, the competition isn't just human anymore, not even close. Your child is going to be competing with incredibly smart AI systems, with automation that can do jobs faster and cheaper, and with a massive pool of global talent. We're talking remote workers from every corner of the planet, skilled gig professionals, and even the hiring algorithms that decide who even gets an interview. And this leads us to a pretty stark new reality. The old playbook? It's been torn up. That top-tier degree that used to be a golden ticket, well, it no longer guarantees a great job. And getting high marks doesn't automatically mean you have the real-world skills that employers are desperately looking for. So that brings us to the real question, doesn't it? This isn't just about getting into a good college anymore. It's about building a foundation that makes someone employable for their entire life in a world that's just constantly changing. So how on earth do we do that? To make this all feel a bit more real, let me tell you about Suresh. Now, Suresh is a star, a gold medal engineering graduate from one of the best colleges. On paper, I mean, he was the absolute perfect candidate. He ticked every single box you could think of. But then, Suresh started applying for jobs at these big global companies. And you know what they asked him? They didn't really care about his rank. They said things like, "Show us your projects," or "Walk us through how you solved a really complex problem." And the big one, "Give us an example of how you adapt." They wanted to see his skills in action. And right there, that's where it all fell apart for him. Suresh had the marks, he had the medals, but he had nothing to show. No portfolio of projects, no real experience he could point to. He was absolutely brilliant, but he was completely unprepared for what the modern world was actually asking for. So with Suresh's story in mind, let's break down the two big players, starting with CBSE. The philosophy here is really all about building depth, about creating a super strong foundation. And that is incredibly valuable. CBSE is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to certain skills. We're talking about intense academic rigor, especially in subjects like math and science. It builds incredible discipline, this endurance to handle really high-pressure exams, and it gives students a really powerful analytical foundation to build on. So what's the CBSE equation look like? Well, on one hand, its core strength is undeniable. It builds these deep analytical brains that are perfect for STEM-heavy careers. Think engineering, medicine, research. But on the other side of that coin, it can seriously underemphasize the exact skills that recruiters wanted from Suresh, things like creativity, communication, and that hands-on project-based work. And here's the real danger in our AI-driven world. If an education is mostly about memorizing facts and following rules, even the most brilliant mind becomes vulnerable to automation. Why? Because executing routine, rule-based tasks is exactly what machines do best. Okay, so now let's flip the script and look at the IB system. Its entire philosophy is pretty much built for adaptation. It's all about teaching students how to learn, which, let's be honest, is probably the most critical skill you can have when the world is changing this fast. The IB approach is all about flexing different muscles, Students are taught from day one to question assumptions, to go out and do their own independent research, and then to communicate what they found clearly. They learn how to collaborate with all kinds of people, and, this is key, how to adapt really quickly when they're hit with new information. So what's the IB equation? Well, the huge advantage is that it develops these adaptable thinkers who can see the big picture and work across different teams, making them super compatible with an AI-driven workplace. The potential blind spot, though? It might not give them that same bootcamp-style prep for high-stakes competitive exams, or that super deep specialization you see in other systems. Think about it this way. The IB curriculum is almost perfectly designed to answer the questions that global employers are asking right now. It directly trains students to show up and say, "Here are the problems I can solve, and here's how fast I can learn something new." Okay, so we looked at both sides, but here's the thing. This isn't about picking a winner. It's about having a strategy. This next part is what we're calling the Parent's Playbook. It's a simple guide for what you can do to future-proof your child's education, and it doesn't matter one bit which board they're in.
All right, here are 5 super practical rules. Number 1, build that portfolio that Suresh was missing. Start with simple projects, even as early as age 10. 2, shift your own focus from marks to skills. What can they do, not just what do they know? 3, teach them to work with AI, to see it as a powerful tool, not a threat. 4, get them some global exposure through things like online competitions or projects. And number 5, the most important one, nurture adaptability like it's a superpower. Celebrate the process of learning and even unlearning things.
And this quote just nails the new mindset we all need. Careers are no longer ladders, they are ecosystems. It's not about a straight climb to the top anymore. It's about navigating a dynamic, complex world where you're constantly adapting and growing in all sorts of new directions. So let's pull all these threads together into our future-proof formula. The biggest takeaway I want you to have is this: the debate over which board is best, it's the wrong debate. The real power is in understanding the foundation your child has and then knowing exactly what you need to add on top. The formula is actually pretty simple. If your child is in the CBSE system, which builds that incredible depth and discipline, you need to intentionally add skills in agility and global communication. And if they're in the IB system, which is fantastic for inquiry and adaptability, you'll want to focus on adding deep, hands-on technical skills to their toolkit. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this one powerful idea. The single most valuable skill you can give your child for 2040 and beyond is the ability to constantly learn, to be willing to let go of old information, and to relearn how to do things in the face of massive change. That right there is the heart of adaptability. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. The board, whether it's CBSE or IB, it just provides the foundation. It's the starting point. The real question is, what are you going to help your child build on top of it?